Make sure your panel's off when you do this. What's one of the first things I like to do whenever I'm starting a new panel that I'm going to be terminating is to get my tool belt off of my hips so I've got better movement. Now we got our pouch hanging. Now we can number wires. We can grab whatever tool we need, have one hand free. And sometimes you're on a ladder doing this. You might have a gutter up above and just a whole bunch of things going on. So I like to get my tool pouch in front of me as soon as possible when terminating a panel. Let's talk about adding a larger ground wire. Let's say that this one's taken up because we installed our neutral and we don't have any more slots for a larger ground wire. You can get this ground lug kit. Make sure you get the brand that goes with your panel and you're guaranteed to have these line up on your slots. I'll show you what I'm talking about. We're gonna get this open and show you how to install this.
Who'd you say did the electrical work?
Oh, that would be my nephew Thomas. He's very handy.
What year did his house burn down?
How about 2 years ago? How do you know his house burned down?
We're going to strip this back. Best tool you can use is a razor knife. If you're experienced, you can use one of these tools like this and go around, but you're still having to fight all that extra resistance. You're going to need to cut a slit down the middle here with a razor knife. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And you see we haven't cut deep enough yet, even with that tool. So we're just going to kind of go around here. You don't want to nick the copper or the aluminum, and you want to just take your time, go around the wire, and then with your thumb, this is your pressure here, you're pushing, and this is just guiding. So you're not really going like this. That's dangerous. You just want to give it nice pressure with your thumb, just kind of help it along as we expose some of that conductor. And then you want to get your fingernail underneath there as soon as possible and try to peel it off. So we're going to start back where we started stripping, cut a little bit more, and there we go, just kind of pops off. A lot of times when I'm inspecting, I'll see where somebody's taken like their rabbit ears or something, and they've just done a really, a hack job with this, and you can see where the aluminum is just all scored up, and that's just not the case here. Now, there's a debate for antioxidant compound when you're running aluminum, and there's also a debate about whether we should even be using aluminum. But there's two things here. The aluminum's actually safe, especially for feeders. You can see the lugs are uneven, so that's a good indicator that might be loose. I think this one's loose too, man. Holy hell. How come this lug is in more than those lugs? Holy crap. Oh, man. That's my Ufer. Yeah, even those. So we're going for 2,000 amps. We got 6 sets of 600 aluminum, good for 340 amps each. Grounds are 400. I think so. I have to look. This is actually missing the jumper. And then remember, this would be a ground wire, so it wouldn't normally be carrying current. And then as far as the antioxidant compound is concerned, the newer style aluminum, they say you don't need antioxidant compound. 9 times out of 10, the inspector's still going to want to see it. So that's that Noalox stuff that usually gets squirted on there. It's called we call it Pookie in the field. Pretty much anything that's like viscous, like honey, that goes on something in the field is called Pookie. So there you go. So we're going to go with one of my favorite screwdrivers here, which would be this Klein insulated multi. And that's because it has a Robertson tip on it. And what we're going to do, we're going to figure out where these 2 tabs are going here. And we're going to line them up on the lugs that line up. So we know we're going to take off the top 2 lugs, at least loosen them. Just enough to get it in there. We're going to pop that in there like that. I need to back it up just a little bit more. So now we got our add a lug. So now these screws are now biting into the tangs that we just installed, and I can see both sides of this, so I can see how deep we are, and we know we got the screw biting on it, and they are aluminum, so we can bend it around just a little bit. Now we're ready to land our conductor in there. So we got our conductor in there. We're going to switch this back out for our flathead. Loosen up that lug, pop that ground in there. We can see the bottom, we can see the top. The insulation is not getting pinched underneath of the lug, which is very important. And you would torque that to the value. Inside here is the cheat sheet based on GE's recommendation. Looks like 45 inch-pounds for a slot screw that is number 6 through 4, and 50 inch-pounds 3 through 2/0. So I believe this is a number 3. It's actually a number 2, so perfect. And yeah, 50 inch-pounds. You would tighten this and properly torque it. And yeah, that's what you do. Instead of commonly you'll see, especially on some of my mistakes to avoid videos, you'll see where people fork multiple individual strands of the same wire underneath a couple of different terminals here. Completely wrong. This is the proper way to do it. Keeps you out of trouble, especially if you're licensed and you're, you know, liable. So this is the proper way to do that. Stay safe out there, guys. Let's talk about how to install a ground kit. This is a listed GE ground kit, and we're going to show you how to install it. The code gets specific when installing grounds, and one of the most important things it talks about is having at least 2 threads engaged. And because this is machine style and the threads are closer together, we're going to be able to achieve that. Now, your first question might be, what are the actual chances you needing a ground bar when you've got all of this and all of this, right? If this is a sub panel and you got to isolate your grounds and neutrals, like 100% chance that you're going to need a separate ground bar because your grounds and neutrals can't touch inside of a sub panel. So this is something we're going to need. Now, what's interesting about this is it actually does not line up with my specific kit with this panel board, even though they're both GE. And that can happen. So let me show you how to fix that, show you the right way to do it. You guys are in for a treat because I've actually got the proper tools for the job, and I recommend everybody, especially if you're meeting an inspector on site for a final and you're doing a rooftop inspection, make sure you have these on you with some set screws, because a lot of the times your helpers are going to forget to be bonding their disconnects and stuff. Happened this morning actually. So I'll show you how to use this, how to line up your holes. Let's get it going. Get you one of these thick lead retracting pencils. We're going to hold this over our hole here, and we're just going to make our own hole. And I'm going to go left and right. That way I can make sure I get this where I want it. When I get ready to eyeball it, I can put a level on this and we'll get it all. Have you ever cut it 3 times and it's still too short? Well, we almost did that here. That's why you measure twice and cut once. So we're going to be on that bottom mark. Always double check. Next, we're going to check the thread pitch and count of our threads here. That looks like a winner. It screws in just like a screw. So we're going to pop this in our driver and start drilling. Now this has a drill bit on one end and the thread taps on the back. Flathead, or maybe a 1/4 inch. Looks like it's gonna be 5/16. Let's give it a test. That's gonna work beautifully. That's the factory one up there. We already know it's going to fit. We'll go ahead and get this first one in. Then we're going to slide these bars up. Like that. For the purpose of this video, we're just going to use one. And we're going to line it up. Screw it into our hole here. You can see where that's already getting tighter. You'd use a torque wrench for this as well. Nice and tight. Get your multimeter out. Select continuity. Test the multimeter. We get a beep. We're still getting a beep. We go to this lug. We get a beep. We go to the bar. We get a beep. We go to the screw. So we know this is all now connected properly. Thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one.